Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. I am your host, Adani. Joined with me are the greatest co-hosts ever, Karma and Manask. Everybody welcome Karma. This is her first time on the show, but she's been behind the scenes the whole time. Thank you for joining us today, Karma.
No problem. Glad I could finally join.
I'm gonna say, but they just got sex change.
Like lose one guy and just gain a girl. Like, hold on.
Well,
Musical chairs.
Yes, that's how my life feels sometimes.
and maybe one day we'll have 4. I'll have to rearrange the whole layout of the.
I'll make sure next week I can be available so you can do that. Hopefully, just have to fix the whole thing.
Oh, jeez, sounds terrible. But hey, you know, if we gotta do what we gotta do. Let's say.
Right.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed their week. We had a pretty exciting week in wrestling. A lot of different things. Obviously, we're coming off the high of, or well, the low, or however you took the Extreme Rules horror show. But obviously, you know, we had Raw the last week, we had NXT, we had AEW, and of course our week starts with SmackDown. There were not a ton of exciting, noteworthy things on SmackDown, but there was a couple. So we're going to start with that. The first thing is that came up was we did have a number 1 contenders match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. That was Nikki Cross versus Alexa Bliss. Nikki did come out on top, and what do y'all think about that dynamic there? With that,
I mean, that was the best part of SmackDown, in my opinion, the opening of the show and that match. And then for me, the show just went downhill from there.
Yeah, it actually was a pretty good match. I didn't hate it. Like, I was okay with it. Them having to kind of have a feud going on, but not having a feud. But it's probably going to lead to one down the line somewhere, I think, with Alexa. But I mean, I liked her as a heel better anyway. So if they want to go back in that direction, that'd be great.
I was hoping they were going to do more with Alexa and the whole Sister Abigail thing from Extreme Rules. I mean, they showed clips of it on SmackDown.
yeah, I don't think that's.
I don't know if it was. Yeah, I don't know if it was meant to be more of that or just like fake illusions for Braun.
I think they were just alluding to, like, back during that mixed tag team matchup thing.
Yeah.
Still would have been nice if she became Sister Abigail.
Yeah, that would be cool for sure.
Oh yeah,
Spice up the show a little more.
right.
Yes. So do you know? I know Karma's a pretty big fan of Alexa Bliss. How do you feel about Alexa kind of taking a back seat to Nikki Cross?
I don't appreciate it very much, but that's definitely like some serious favoritism on my part because I think she's amazing. But like I said, like she's more amazing to me as a heel than a face.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in this angle, it kind of works just kind of because she was on top for so long. It's not too bad for her to be to the back seat to somebody else and giving somebody else a chance to be in the front and then kind of helping push somebody else too. So she kind of helps push Nikki Cross against Bayley as a face, which is not bad. Their matches aren't terrible, so I don't hate them.
It's funny. I love Alexa Bliss, and I hate Nikki Cross. They cancel each other out.
I don't hate Nikki Cross. I don't have a problem with her.
Yeah, hate's
you just
strong
gotta,
word.
right?
Yeah,
like
I'm bored with Nikki Cross.
Yeah, that I could understand. Like the only wrestler I have a complete disdain for is Brock Lesnar, and that's just a whole thing in its own.
I just find my 2 favorite female wrestlers with WWE are the 2 that hate each other in real life: Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks.
Oh gosh, wow, that's pretty funny though.
Yeah.
I mean, Becky Lynch and Alexa are like my top 2, probably like main roster people. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of all of WWE women wrestling right now because I think it's probably the best, the best I've ever seen, and it's a lot of times better than the men's programs. So, all right. Well, the other important thing that happened on SmackDown was originally scheduled for Extreme Rules, but they pushed it back due to they'll say it's ratings. We'll go with that. And that was the What was that?
That's a ratings booster.
Yeah, it was a ratings booster. It was Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus in the bar fight. Now, I mean, I felt like it was pretty well done. What do y'all think about that?
I never cared for the storyline to begin with, so
Same. Completely the same on that.
Yeah.
I could have done without that one. They should have left it on Extreme Rules. Actually, looked like it belonged on Extreme Rules.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, more gimmicky matches that have all-day takes in them. Yeah,
I agree with it.
I was good with the match. Pretty much, like most of the way through, it actually wasn't bad as far as how they set it up and how they were doing stuff. Until they got to the end where they swapped the face paint. And then I hated it because I hated it when it became full-on gimmicky instead of just being.
Turn him to Brother Nero.
Yes, like it felt like it wasn't pre-taped the whole time until they did that. Until that moment showed up, and I was like, "Dude, y'all just killed my whole vibe," because it actually felt like everything was happening in a flow until they did it, and then that just like ruined it for me.
And I believe that moment was the whole reason why they went to pre-tape it.
Probably.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna, and that was another thing I was gonna say is like that we did have the an alternative face of Jeff Hardy revealed in that and I was wondering what y'all think if that's going to be something we see more moving forward, or is that going to do you feel like that's going to be just a one-off thing and they'll just leave it alone from here?
I hate that WWE does this with some of my favorite characters. Jeff Hardy. So my answer to that is I don't really give a care. he was one of my favorites. He is one of my favorites, but I don't really give a care. But they go with that character on SmackDown right now.
They should definitely. I think they should go forward with it because I mean, Jeff doing his own thing with his own gimmicks and stuff is like how Matt Hardy does his own thing. It's just good. They come up with their own good stuff. Like they just need to write their own stories because they write it better than the company does. And they should just let it be.
Yeah,
See, they need a show where they allow them their free reign to do whatever they want, and SmackDown should be that show.
Yes, definitely. It needs it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. A lot of the Attitude Era stars are still really good at melding their ideas with what WWE creative is. And I think WWE needs more of that, and I think that's part of what's causing the ratings loss. Well, that's all I have from SmackDown. Did anybody else have any?
One thing about SmackDown is, I wish I had known that Kofi was hurt, and that's why they passed the tag titles on.
Right.
Yeah.
I called that though. I actually wanted Cesaro and Shinsuke to win, so I was pretty proud of myself on that one. But also didn't know Kobe was injured. Had I known, I'd have been like, "Oh, they're definitely winning."
Yeah. I don't read I try not to read the dirt sheet, so I didn't know any of the back.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea Kofi was injured at all. I just took a stab that I wanted them to win because I like the New Day now. I didn't used to care for them too much, but they've had those belts like on and off for so long now. I'm like, let's pass it a little bit somewhere else.
You see, I like Nakamura and Cesaro. I still think both of them need a singles push, and both should have a singles title on them. My only fear about them being tag team champions, they're probably gonna push that back into the side and make it a title that's there that barely get defended ever.
Right.
Well, I hope not, because I think ever since we've started doing this show, we've had some pretty decent title activity. So I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't just get left in the background, because I feel like that being able that we've had a lot of title defenses. We have some title defenses next week. We had some this week. Like it helped.
Let me ask you this: Who on SmackDown could they go up against other than the Usos?
That's
a real question. The Lucha House Party.
I don't.
And moving on to Raw.
Oh man, we'll just bring Imperium up and they can take all the belts and take them all to NXT. And
They're gonna need to do something like that.
yeah, that's why they're having to like create these extra tag teams, because it's like they go from having so many and then all of a sudden they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have Miz and Morrison, but like that just
Oh, I
happened.
forgot about them.
Yeah.
Right. that was just at like WrestleMania, then shifted to the New Day, and now shifted to Cesaro and Shinsuke.
Yeah.
So it's like, really, who else do we actually have with everybody?
It's hot potato
kinda,
titles. Okay. All right. Everything froze on my side, so I didn't know anybody was talking. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and get into Raw. There's a little bit more, going on Raw than there was on SmackDown. Hopefully so, since it's 3 hours instead of 2. So we did.
It's not always the case.
Yeah, no, more than not, it's not the case, but yeah, some of the biggest news coming out of Raw is obviously Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. What do y'all foresee in that?
Randy winning.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's been almost 4 months for Drew to have the belt.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see it happening. I feel like Ric Flair would be involved somehow.
I mean, let's look at it. These past 4 months, Randy Orton and his match has been bigger news than the heavyweight championship. So it makes sense for them to pass on to Randy right now until they get crowds back.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, but I mean, who like it's kind of like since Brock Lesnar, who has Drew beaten for the like yeah, like that.
Man,
like
that hurts my soul.
yeah, like it's kind of like, what did you just had you had this huge rub from Brock Lesnar to Drew McIntyre, and then you had you turned it into nothing, and then if then you have Drew lose to Randy Orton, then like, was that all that a waste?
Drew just kind of, with everything going on, got really screwed on his title run, because it's 2 weeks before WrestleMania, he is going to go into it with no crowd at all, knowing he's going to get the belt, and just he's got nothing there for it, and he's had nothing to show for it other than like the training superstars from NXT in the background, people to cheer for him, and it's kind of sad, but he got screwed.
And then not to mention, it's kind of the pattern in WWE when they give the title to somebody brand new, they give it to them for a couple of months, or when it gets close to time for like SummerSlam, Survivor Series season, they give it back to a vet so they can build up WrestleMania of a vet versus another super vet, bring in eyes, and you know it's going to be Randy versus Edge for the title most likely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like that needs a title.
Unless they put Drew in there and make it a triple threat.
Right. Depends whenever Edge is supposed to be coming back. That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a few more months, I imagine. But they could have Randy win and then let him have it for a little while, and if Edge has got any intention to come back anytime soon, have Edge just jump him out of nowhere, spear him, and hold the build up like he's going to take it from him. I could see something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And have Drew win the Money in the Bank, get his title back.
Oh, snap. It's come full circle.
Which I want to add a little pause from Raw.
Okay.
I'm trying to catch up on NXT in the background while we're recording this. Mercedes Martinez has a pretty cool interest. Why is she on the Roger Stone brand?
Robert Stone brand.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but she
I mean,
is.
that's a freaking cool interest she has by herself.
Right, and she's got her mask on, social distancing, all that stuff. I like her. I've liked her since the Mae Young, though.
All right. So yeah, second match was the triple threat tag team match from Raw. The number one contender.
Yeah, that's exactly what was next on the list. Look at you. On the ball over there. Alright, so it was Ricochet and Cedric Alexander versus Andrade and Garza versus the Viking Raiders. The winner goes to SummerSlam to face the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team titles. What did y'all think about that?
That was a pretty good match. I actually enjoyed it. I also enjoyed who won it. So
Yeah.
Yep. I think
It's like I like Andrade and Angel Garza. At the same time, I want both of them to be in singles title matches rather than tag team. But they're great at the tag team at the same time. So it's like.
I agree that I wanted Garza and Andrade to win too, but it's so weird that the week before they fought the Street Profits and basically they talked it up. Like if they beat them, they'd get a number one contender shot anyway. So instead of winning there and becoming the number one contenders, they lost and then had to go and win again the next week. It's like it's that.
What you're describing there is called 50-50.
But yeah, the match was great. I think, anytime you have such talented performers, the more performers, it almost always ends up with more highlighted spots, and it's. I definitely think that it was a really good match.
And before anyone thinks that I hate WWE or bash Raw, I've watched every single Raw since the early 90s. And I'm still watching it. This is the worst it's ever been.
Yeah. I've been watching Raw. I've been watching Raw since like 2001, and there are days where I'm just like, why are we still recording? Like, y'all should just not have wrestling until this pandemic is over or something and get back to some kind of normal, because...
Well, the problem is, it was like this before the pandemic.
Sadly,
you don't have the crowd to mask some of the crap.
Well, I think
now you have like the people that are told who to cheer and who to boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also there's obviously the we talked about this on an earlier show, is that they've cut a lot of the bottom the bottom half of their roster, so to speak, and so you don't have the capability to just throw two mid-carders together like you used to be able to and make a new tag team. Well,
another thing they used to do, and this was a conversation Bud Nation and I had earlier in the week, we found out the WWE scrapes, got rid of the plans to form that new nation, was WWE has not been able to successfully create a big stable since in a long time. I think in the past, actually, they even screw up Nexus. Nexus was like the biggest thing since DX, and then they were like strong for what, a couple weeks, and then they threw them to Cena right away, split them in two. What was the other group called? For some reason they do not make stables larger than 4 men.
Right.
Well,
Most times only 3.
I would say even a 4-man stable
Wyatt family, but
would be refreshing.
They kind of didn't let that go as good as it could have been either.
But that would have been one of the most exciting things to make WWE side of things popular again, because Bud Aces was saying he hopes they call Undisputed Era up to the main roster. Like, heck no.
No.
They'll turn to a comedy act, or they'll break them all up. I mean, we saw what they were trying to do, Revival, before they left.
Well, they were trying to do that stuff with Seth, and then of course, like the AOP have like an extreme issue with injuries, like the Revival did. So they get going into something, and then one of them gets injured, and then they're gone again for like the next 6 months or whatever. So then it just kind of falls apart. Don't know what happened with Austin Theory. He was there, and all of a sudden he's not there, and I'm just like, the stable thing you are trying to make work is not working.
You have the ones that are like right there. They're naturally coming together.
And then something just kills it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
That would have been a good one. I think that I think that would have been the Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, AOP. Like I think that would have been a really good one because it, again, like I mean I had mentioned this before, and granted, I was on, there were dissenting opinions, but I think Paul, in my eyes, one of the problems that WWE is currently having is there's not really a overarching villainous presence, and I think that's, in my eyes, WWE was always at its best when there was some like villain, like some really big villain that was worth defeating. You go back to the corporate ministry days, and there was, those were good times in my, when I watched wrestling. So I think part of the lacking storylines in my eyes is due to the fact that there is no real, unbeatable presence right now in wrestling, or at least
was Brock Lesnar for the longest. Like, I know everyone hates him, but that's what he was there for. He was that unbeatable villain. But right now, you have a face with the title. You don't really have a heel to match him other than Randy Orton, but he was off doing his own thing against legends.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing that hurt Drew is not having that big heel since they moved what's his name over to SmackDown. Baron Corbin. They should have left him on Raw. For some reason, they have him on SmackDown.
They should have put him on Raw.
He would have been great. Corbin versus Drew.
I don't like that.
And then, another ball they dropped when they had Zelina Vega forming her little crew with Austin Theory and Andrade and Angel Garza. And then they just dropped that all of a sudden and kicked out Austin Theory. And then Seth picked him up, and Austin Theory never wanted his revenge for getting gang jumped.
And then he's just gone.
Yeah. There's a reason why he's gone, but yeah.
All right.
And then my last favorite segment of the night, Shayna Baszler versus Nia Jax.
Apparently Nia got fined for that.
Fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said apparently got fined. It's like...
That's a match I really want to see.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
after months of a little more practice and training, but
yeah.
We'll be a good match.
Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. They can really beat the heck out of each other, for sure. There is another thing that happened on Raw that actually has some pretty significant backing there.
Well, for me, I lost interest once they did the Seth Rollins segment with Dominic and all that.
Yeah, I was
excited. I was enjoying the show at that moment.
Yeah, I'm not really acknowledging so much in that is that more in the Asuka versus Sasha match.
I was looking up to that, so I hard counted by the time I hit.
So
I mean, I enjoyed that match. I thought it was pretty good.
Yes, the match was really good. The finish killed it for me.
Yes, the finish made me aggravated. I was like, seriously, like, this is so unnecessary. Just have like an actual finish to the match.
Really, like that's all I want. Like, so the Asuka and Sasha match obviously was a rematch from the Extreme Rules horror show. Obviously, that we discussed in the prior show the controversy there. So this match was going to be if you lose in any way, you lose the match and you lose the championship. So whoever lost, and however they lost, would not get the championship. With this note, this was Kairi Sane's last taping, and like for Raw before going back to Japan, and the fact that they wrestled another good match. It was, in my opinion, the match itself was not as good as the Extreme Rules match. Obviously, the endings were, in my opinion, equally bad. But to have Bayley brutalize Kairi and then basically not have anybody be able to defend her except for the one person that's in the match, after having after after having referees and staffing break up Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, it looks so bad to me, so bad, and it's like they put on amazing matches, and WWE puts their foot in there and ruins them. I just don't understand it.
I don't think they think about stuff like that, or think other people are thinking about that kind of stuff. But when you get to a certain point of watching wrestling for so long, you kind of you just notice everything. You're like, this doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? And I think we're those people that notice all that stuff.
Well, I think that's the reason why this main event for Raw was that lowest rated main event I think ever. I think a lot of people tuned out after the Sasha match.
I think people are losing confidence in WWE right now, and I think that's part of it, is that because they even said during the Asuka and Sasha match the ratings were still only like 1.62 million, and that's well under what we were seeing back before the quarantine times. So I mean,
3 hours too long. At least during right now when there's no crowd, just reduce it down to 2 hours, and then have like an hour highlight or something, or an hour talk show.
Yeah, they have the talk show. All they have to do is move it to USA.
That's right.
No, I'm saying cut the 3 hour show out and do 2 hours worth right now.
No, that's what I'm saying though. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Just instead of having it on the WWE Network, cut that last hour off and just put it on USA.
They brought back the Raw Talk?
Yeah, Raw Talk, yeah.
Just have it right after Raw on USA.
Who's the host for it?
I have no idea.
I don't ever watch it.
I don't ever watch it either.
They advertise it, but since I record Raw sometimes, so I just kind of cut through whatever I'm not trying to watch, and that tends to be kind of stuff I just like shift right on through.
My nights are...
So it's like, whoops.
Yeah, I have to pack a lot of stuff into my nights these days, so watching a talk show when I when essentially have my own talk show, I don't. So.
Right. Got time.
Never canceled that back room one.
Oh, the backstage.
Yeah.
the one on FS1.
Get that back room going on over there.
And the range really would go up.
Right? What's going on in the back room? Oh, let's go to the locker room. Oh, okay. See what's going on.
Oh, wait. Attitude Era is back.
Yes. Oh, those are the good days. If podcasts existed then, man, let me tell you. God, there'd be like, everybody would talk about how good wrestling was instead.
Alright. So, the last thing, and I only want to touch on it briefly, is that we had the Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre main event. That was an Extreme Rules match. It was not for the championship. It was a decent match, but, I mean, it means nothing. So,
I do want to add, if Seth Rollins takes out one more person's eye, I'm done with Raw.
Oh my gosh. They're just going to have a collection of fake eyes for every time he takes somebody's eye out.
Could turn to pirate wrestling.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe, instead of the Messiah, maybe he'll be the Witch Doctor.
Oh god. Just carry around with his voodoo and get him a pot to stir in.
Can we not just go back to them getting hit by a car on their way to their own car or something? Explain them being out.
Well,
it was Jeff Hardy drunk driving.
Oh god. So there was a little bit. Speaking of that, we'll mention it. Is that there is a little bit of backstage news. There's been some talk that there was rumors that Vince McMahon didn't like Aleister Black. And that's why, he was...
No, he likes Aleister Black,
right.
Doesn't like his character.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying there were rumors that he didn't like him at all, but those rumors have been rebutted now. And they've said that McMahon loves Aleister Black because of his size, his agility. He loves him, he just thinks his character needs a rework. And that was what the reasoning for being written off television this past Monday.
You know who else Vince McMahon supposedly loves? Otis.
Really?
See how often he's yeah.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
I haven't seen Otis in his.
Yeah, that's
Doing
what
anything
I'm worried
recently.
about how it's gonna like.
Yeah.
I mean, Otis is supposed to return this tomorrow night, this Friday SmackDown. We shall see. Oh yeah!
All right. All right. Well, do we have anything else? Anything else?
Wednesday night.
All right. On to Wednesday. We'll go ahead and say it. On to Wednesday. All right.
Yes.
So, Wednesday brings us to NXT. Before we and NXT has some pretty good stuff that moved some stuff along. The first thing that I have mentioned is the Gargano Roderick Strong match, and it had gotten extreme praise throughout the week. You know, obviously it's only been 2 days, but a lot of people loved that match. What y'all think of it?
I mean, they're two of the best wrestlers in NXT right now. So I mean, it was a good match.
I didn't watch.
Yeah.
I haven't watched.
Oh yeah, I was like you're past that part.
It's the first match on there.
I know.
It's the first match on NXT.
We started this recording right when it started. Like, oh man! So I'm just gonna mute my mic for this conversation from you.
Oh yeah, true. Spoilers.
Well,
Nah.
so Gargano did win the match, and it kind of sparked. I mean, it looks like something that's been slow burning for a while. Obviously, this may have started with, or continued with Adam Cole losing the championship and then going and exploding at the Pat McAfee show. There's been, and then obviously with Roderick Strong losing, the Undisputed Era kind of got back to their roots, so to speak. More that four person beatdown type mentality when they attacked the Imperium. So what?
Adam Cole was on NXT.
Yeah, he was actually there.
Yeah.
Oh
All
wow.
four of them were.
Yeah, all four of them attacked Imperium after the Imperium's match.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm at
I
that
guess.
post now then.
Whoops. Against
Spoiler
Emerald
alert.
Rise.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, spoiler. We should have like spoiler alert.
That's gonna
Yeah.
be Imperium versus the Undisputed Era. Okay.
I mean, that time they actually had all four versus all four, and then they had the one injury like the very beginning of the match. Then it was 4-on-3, but that match was just, God, it was so good. That match was so good.
Yeah. So because of the run-in, the Undisputed Era actually has a tag team title match against Imperium next week. So is this where the Undisputed Era turns their look around?
Is there not a takeover coming up?
There's one coming up the weekend of SummerSlam,
Yeah.
so like almost the end of August.
But
Why are they doing that tag match now? They should save that for
because they
I don't think
are
anything will
a
come out of
rating.
this match.
They're in a ratings war against another the other competition.
I find NXT that is best when it's not trying to compete and it's still doing its own thing and slow building up to that next takeover versus giving gold out for free in the middle of the week. And it's like, where are you gonna have for takeovers that'd be more exciting than this?
Oh, and you got like two heel teams facing each other. I don't think anything will come out of it, honestly.
Well, I'm pretty sure Undisputed Era is gonna go face.
Oh God, I can't see that.
I'm thinking that's the route they're going with them right now.
Say Karma might need to close her eyes.
What?
If you can't see that, you gotta
I
close
know,
your
right?
eyes. Close your eyes.
Some people just make better heels, and like
Yeah, I agree.
the Undisputed Era is definitely a better as a heel unit as they are now.
But they want to get people to chant "Baby" Adam Cole.
I chant that anyways.
I say that. I was like, I've said that before I even know Adam Cole existed.
I wish.
Okay. Anything else on the Undisputed Era? All right. The other couple things that came out of the NXT was that we do have a number one contenders match next week for the women's championship. It'll be Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai. What do y'all think about that?
I swear, if Dakota wins, I'll be so upset. I've never really been a big fan of hers. I've always liked Rhea's she's just, I don't know, she's just really cool. I like her character. I like her in the ring. I don't really care for that blonde hair she's pulling off right now, but
I was going to question.
Each your own.
What's her character?
She done dyed her whole head.
It's like not that punk rock character anymore. Is it supposed to be more of a normal person now? Or?
Like, it's just like her style. That's like actually who she is, which is cool because when she did like debuted for Mae Young Classic, she just looked like a straight beach chick from like Australia, and now she's extremely has like the rocker look going on, which is fine with me because I get it.
It's almost like, you know, when they say you can't beat them, join them. She can't beat Charlotte, so just join her and go.
Oh man, like but bleach blonde, like.
Yep.
But I mean, I wish they would have another rematch with Rhea and Charlotte, just because that match they had at WrestleMania, they literally beat the crap out of each other.
I wonder if she pissed somebody off or something, because, you know, here she was, like, skyrocketing the top, and she wins the title, then they take it off and give it to Charlotte, and then...
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the point of that was, to give Charlotte another belt, other than just to give Charlotte another belt.
Because they were trying to say Charlotte was head and shoulders better than all the other women in the organization, and
I don't know. I mean, I don't hate her. I mean, I think she is a great wrestler personally, and she's good on the mic and stuff. But they could use her at times to still build other people up too, instead of just winning every match.
Yeah, but she was the female Roman Reigns pretty much, because they had her running all men. They had him running over all the men. Sure. They said the reason for the hate was because Roman Reigns wasn't there to distract the viewers, and so everyone was hating on Charlotte.
Really? I didn't hear about that. Oh wow.
I'm not surprised by that. They gotta hate on somebody.
Yeah. So right now,
we're gonna hate on John Cena's not here. Roman's not here.
So right now, Sasha Banks getting that push. She's not getting the hate so far.
True.
But they're not shoving her down everyone's throat yet.
I don't know. They're pushing their luck though, with them being on Raw and SmackDown, and then taking literally every belt.
Well, yeah. The thing about that is the thing about when you bring up Bayley and Sasha, it's hard to hate on them, because they're like the way they're positioned. It's like they're carrying, even though they're supposed to be bad guys, they're really carrying the women's division right now. And
no, they're carrying WWE right now.
Yeah.
Well, I would say Sasha more than Bayley. Sasha just on the mic is better than Bayley. In the ring is better than Bayley. All over. So. Well,
we know how you feel about Bayley, so.
I'm gonna have to come up with $325
I have never liked Bayley at all. But that's just me. She has literally the worst finisher in the entire company.
So yeah, both Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss both do cameos now.
Apparently somebody proposed to Alexa Bliss and paid $400 to do that, just to be told no.
$400 to be turned down.
That's a lot of money, and she did not even need it.
What? All right.
Did you not hear about that?
No.
Oh my God! Straight up, a dude paid like $400 for her cameo to propose to her. She said no.
Oh wow.
I don't know how messed up you have to be to actually think she was going to say yes.
So if anybody wants to give me a birthday present, Sasha Banks is $325.
Good Lord. Wait, how much is Alexa actually? Is she actually $400?
I think she's probably the same, but $29. but
God dang. Well, my birthday's Saturday, so let's go. Give me that birthday. What up?
for real.
My birthday's like literally a week before hers. Hers is the 8th and mine is the 1st. So we're like, our birthdays are a week apart.
That's pretty crazy.
Right.
Oh, Matt Hardy's on 110. Nuts.
He's
What?
only 110? What?
Yeah. Matt Hardy's only $110 on Cameo.
Oh, okay. I was like 110 years old. I was like, I'm pretty sure he
Good
was.
God.
Pretty sure he's younger than that. I said, I mean,
He's taking that slogan for wrestling too serious. He will not die.
Lucha. I mean, AEW does have a 65 million year old wrestler, so I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Little Luchasaurus, man.
Oh man.
He's my.
Yep.
All right.
Survived extinction.
That's right. Say his birth certificate.
Funny because he was just in his 20s when he was on Big Brother. Somehow he.
So he went back in time, in a time machine, and then lived out the whole time, and infused himself with dinosaur bones and blood, and that's how he lived forever. All right.
You're waiting into AEW or?
All right. So, obviously, we still have the ladder match coming up at NXT Takeover for the North American Championship. So we did have another qualifying match this week. It was Dexter Lumis versus Finn Balor versus Timothy Thatcher.
Spoilers.
Nah. All I need to know.
So spoilers for our 20 viewers. Let's go. All right. We'll get there. It's all about consistency. When eventually people will catch on and want to come hang out with us nerds here. So Dexter Lumis versus Finn Balor versus Timothy Thatcher. It was a really good match. The ending was while the guy creeps me out, I think he's definitely positioning himself into possible stardom. But Dexter Lumis came out on top on that. So what do y'all think about?
He's creepy enough for me.
Yeah.
It's a different type of creepy. It's like, okay, I haven't seen a character like that before.
Right. You don't know how to read him other than he just stares at you
Yeah.
blankly, and that's it. And draws really weird pictures.
He needs to be and stay a heel.
Yes.
Agreed.
Even though it's almost like he's not a heel in a way.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
he's in a limbo of just like, what is he? But you don't get to know.
I mean, this man's like a big man. I don't know, 6'4" maybe. I don't know, and very, very chiseled out. And he did a front flip over the top rope and landed on his feet on the ground in the match. I was like, dang. I was like, all right. It's like, I'm just
Like
gonna.
him and Keith Lee could make a really interesting match.
Oh yeah,
Because
definitely.
Keith Lee is very agile.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And aside from that, we are going to have another qualifying match next week. But unfortunately, it's three people that I'm not really familiar with, as I'm pretty newer to NXT. But it's a three-way match for the next qualifier. It's going to be Damian Priest versus Wani Lorcan versus Ridge Holland. What can y'all tell me about some of them, just so I can kind of be a little more in the know on that?
I mean, Oni Lorcan's normally, at least as far as recent time, he's been with a tag team. So it's been him and what is the other guy? Birch. No, yeah, he's been doing tag team stuff recently. Other than it was him and Thatcher actually having like some singles matches. But
Okay.
so it's kind of interesting that they're actually kind of pushing him towards doing some single stuff. I figure Damian Priest will probably be the one that comes out on top in that match. I think
See,
they're kind of pushing
it'll be
some of the
more
extra
Lorcan.
NXTs.
because they have been pushing Lorcan lately.
Right? Which is weird.
It's possible. If it's for the North American title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rich Holland, he's been on, he's from NXT UK. That's where he's been at.
Okay. Gotcha.
Dude's actually a pretty good wrestler, though.
Okay. Well, I look forward to watching that next week.
Right.
I don't have any other notes for NXT. Does anybody have anything else that they want to talk about?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, so that finishes up WWE for the week. That will bring us to AEW. So we have Dynamite. That was also Wednesday and had a lot of news. So much news. It's like I have one page for WWE. That's 3 shows. But for AEW, I have a whole nother page, and it's only 1 show. Like, I mean, there's obviously a disconnect there. So, we'll start with the opening match. It was a 5v5. It was
the best friends and friends versus. That's the best way to
That's
describe
right.
it.
Yeah.
Best friend with the Jurassic Express
and Orange Cassidy versus the Inner Circle. That's right. And the main, kind of the main thing to take that was important from that wasn't necessarily the winner. It's that Matt Hardy did interfere to kind of restart his feud. Apparently, he had a feud with Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
And apparently, yeah. So. Yeah, so Sammy, Matt Hardy did interfere to restart that feud. So in the future, we're actually, because Matt Hardy's been feudless for a while, so at least since I've been started watching.
He had started the feud and wanted to take Sammy Guevara to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And right at the beginning of that feud starting, that's when Sammy got suspended. So yeah,
Gotcha.
He's been waiting for Sammy to come back to redo that. That's the only reason why they threw him with Private Party. Why he chose to be with Private Party for now.
Okay, that makes sense.
Again, you got to watch that Stadium Stampede.
I apparently do. I'd say I keep putting it off. I'll get around to it. All right, so the next match or important factor thing that happened in AEW.
The next what?
The next the next match or important the noteworthy thing is obviously was the TNT Championship match. That was Cody versus Warhorse. I want to get y'all's take on it first before I say anything, because
he's independent. First off, he's independent.
you clearly know where I'm going with this.
It wasn't as good as the previous two. Like, it wasn't as good as Ricky Starks and last week's match, but he has potential. Like, I still think they should sign him. He could be a modern day Warrior. People were comparing him like a hybrid of Ultimate Warrior meets Sting almost, with his energy and the way he looks. But
yeah, I mean, I definitely got that for sure.
It took a while to get the match, the vibe, the rhythm going for the match. But once towards the end, it was a good match. Yeah. I mean, it started off kind of slow and sluggish. Yeah, they were struggling to get the chemistry for sure.
But yeah, I mean, Warhorse did I wasn't impressed. It wasn't in my eyes. It was an okay match. It was serviceable, is the best I would put it. I don't know that. I mean, I don't know that.
The thing is, it was a match that was like, you got some wrestlers who like pre-plan the matches, and others that call it on the spot. That was a call on the spot match, and that's why it took a bit for them to start jiving.
Yeah, but Warhorse, I mean, he reminded me. Obviously, like you said, he had those, but like in body type, he reminds me of Daniel Bryan, and like he was even wearing the Daniel Bryan boots from 3 or 4 WrestleManias ago. The real furry boots.
And his book screams South Park to me. In fact, I'm gonna watch that again after we're done. I thought he was gonna get a headache or something like that. All the headbanging he was doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people were excited about that match. Obviously, I didn't know who that was, so I mean, I was I was excited that it was a championship match, but I was not that impressed with Warhorse, even though apparently a lot of people were asking for that match.
I mean, like I said, I see potential in him. If they did sign him, I can see him being a big character.
Yeah, but that actually leads us to the next big news. Out of that match, the Dark Order came to attack, which led to the debut of Matt Cordova, who used to be
also known as Woo Woo Woo.
Yeah, that's right. Also,
it.
That's it. That's right.
I just have to have that shirt on.
He looked jacked.
Yeah, he did.
Right? I saw pictures. I haven't watched AEW, but I saw pictures. I was like, he looked like he's put on more muscle since.
Yeah, like, okay. There's a
and
title.
some more tan.
Yep. Yeah, it was exciting. I was kind of like, I think I know who that is. And like they talked, like the announcers talked like you knew who that was. Like, and I'm like, I know who this is. It's just he's so muscular. So, but that was really awesome.
Supposed to be just like an action figure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think? Who do you think is going to be his first feud type?
It's like Dark Order. It'll be him and Cody versus Dark Order next week for the AD match.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that sounds good to me. Speaking of the Dark Order, that leads us into our next match. Was the tag title match, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus the Dark Order for the tag team titles. What did you think about that one?
That's just that slow build they've been working on for a while for the ultimate split up between Kenny and Hangman and the return of the Cleaner.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm a fan of whoever the two wrestlers were for the Dark Order, but.
Dark Order.
Yeah, well, I don't. I mean, the match was pretty. It was.
It was. See, I think the issue is, I saw there's been a lot of complaints, for like ever since AEW started, was there's too much flipping, floppy, jumping around, not enough ring psychology. It seems like a lot of the matches, like this last night, they tried going the more traditional route, and those matches actually tend to be a little more boring because there wasn't the extreme stuff going.
Yeah.
Because they did that with that match, and they did that with the Shida versus Diamante, and they kind of did that to Cody versus Warhorse. And I think that's why those had like a different, slower pace to them.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason, in my eyes, part of the reason why AEW is as exciting as it is because the wrestling mentality is so different. And when you bring it, when you're trying to reel it back in, that's actually, in my eyes, that hurts it, because it takes. I mean, if I can watch WWE, I'd rather watch the more polished WWE, even though the storylines are worse. The wrestling is better if you're cookie cuttering it, because that's what WWE is. It's the safer cookie cutter wrestling. So. You've had these people who are much more polished. If you're going to have that wrestling, it's going to take that edge that AEW has. The Canadian Destroyer is completely outlawed in WWE, and like one of the first AEW Dynamites that I watched, I think they did like 7 of them in a single.
seven Canadian destroyers. Like that's the finishing move. You don't get up from Canadian destroyers. In fact, they did 7 of them. That's what people complain about things like that, and then you start seeing less and less, and then it becomes boring old regular wrestling you watch everywhere else.
Yeah. And that's a problem. I definitely think they need to get back to the. And they don't have to do it as much, right. But I mean that's part of the appeal is that you don't get this from WWE, so this is a place you can get it, and that's that's one thing that's even piqued my. I mean obviously we do this show, so I watch AEW so I can report on it, but I mean that's part of what attracts me to AEW. That if I didn't do this, I would still watch it because that wrestling, that type of wrestling is what I've always loved. It's going back to the Jeff Hardy High Risk days. We don't really get that as much anymore. It's a lot more watered down. It's a lot more safe, obviously, for reasons.
But I'm actually happy that Jeff is still in WWE and didn't make the jump to AEW. He probably would have killed himself by now. Just because they would let him do whatever he wanted. Yeah. And he probably should end his career in WWE for his own safety.
Can't argue with that.
Okay, can you imagine him versus Darby Allin? No thanks.
Oh God. Would it be good? Yes. Would it be safe? No.
Yeah. He'd be in a wheelchair the rest of his life.
All right. The next thing I want to talk about is also on AEW. It's what I don't know. Obviously, Karma, this will be some new information to you, but they announced that they're having a women's tag team cup, and it's like the world's best tag team. It's just a giant trophy. But it's going to be randomized teams. What did y'all take?
You all draw for a color, and where we have your matching color with your teammate. That's how they made it another debut of a former WWE.
Who was it?
Cameron.
Like Funkadactyl Cameron?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
She got teamed up with
Nyla Rose.
Oh my gosh, what's her name? And Nyla.
I can totally see why you would mistake this. Totally understandable. Right. Interesting. I mean, I like the concept, but it's like, is it really random? You know what I mean? Like,
we'll see who brand you choose.
Right, they could say, oh, it's random, they're just drawing and they're getting, but are they really randomly getting picked as a team? I mean, that's all I'm saying.
You should see.
That's interesting.
That's an interesting pairing.
Yeah, I like the idea. I think the idea is definitely solid. Definitely, create. The problem is that I'm not really sold on the women's wrestling in AEW yet. So we'll have to see.
All the women are new and from the indies, and it's slowly. This kind of reminds me of WWE back when Fit Finley first started working with them. They were trying to go from the divas to where they are now.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just that WWE women's wrestling has spoiled me now. Like it went there was a time back during the Attitude Era where the women were more of a novelty. It was they weren't watched for the wrestling. They were watched for other things. We'll say that. And
there was a time period between the Attitude Era where it was the novelty and the actual wrestling we have now. There was that little period where they refer to it as the restroom match. People actually get up and go to the restroom. That's kind of where AEW's women are, but they're actually quickly getting better with some of the signings they've had.
Yeah, that's like really only like their only downfall with AEW is just working on their women's roster and matches just getting better. That's like, other than that, they do a really good job.
Yeah, I stand by that. I think that they'll get there. I don't think they're there yet. So it's hard to be excited about any. In my eyes, in AEW in the women's division.
I mean, I love Sheeta. I want to see Sheeta versus Rio again. Now that Sheeta's gotten better, and Rio's already good,
which is crazy.
Yeah,
she's so small.
Excuse me. Even when Dr. Britt Baker gets better, have her.
Oh gosh. Yeah, she needs to have her boyfriend train her more.
Yeah.
Train her on the mic a little bit more.
No, she's actually gotten pretty good on the mic.
Has she?
Past 3 months.
I'm so behind with it right now. It's terrible. I've had to like pick and choose on what I've kept up with, and I've been such a WWE fan for so long. So.
Yeah, she's like quickly turning into the female MJF.
Oh my.
Hey.
She was already working that way at last time I was like watching it.
Speaking of MJF.
Oh no.
That's universal across the board. Everybody said that was the highlight of the week of wrestling.
Yes.
Oh gosh, what happened?
Speaking of MJF, he did a state of AEW address.
No, actually, it was a state of wrestling address.
Was it a state of wrestling? Okay, state of wrestling address. Yeah, and he, I mean, it was fire. That's the best I could say. It was great. He called out the Titan program, and also the John Moxley, and challenged him.
Said AEW is supposed to be a revolution about giving the newer, unheard of stars a chance. Instead, they sign all of these from the Titan camp and propel them to the top. And then he believes AEW, he represents what AEW is, and that he's gonna be the one to be the next champion, and pretty much berating John Moxley.
Yeah, and it by far it got rave reviews. I mean, it's everybody in all agree that was an amazing promo that MJF had. And up until this point, I had not really, MJF has cut little promos, but and obviously, shown that he was the Baron Corbin-esque character, that he's just that annoying character. But this, for me, this really changed his.
What's amazing though is like over the past couple months, everyone's naming their top 5 greatest heels of all time, and the 2 modern names who kept clearing people's lists were MJF and Baron Corbin.
I can agree with that. But MJF does it just a little bit better.
Yeah, but it's also a completely different style. But MJF also has the brain to do his own thing, where Baron Corbin's still stuck with the 2-page script.
Right. MJF he's just like he just opens his mouth and you want to hate him.
Yeah, well, that problem Baron Corbin, when he goes off script and is telling you about himself, you just want to love him.
Right.
Because like I said, when I heard it, I became an instant fan. Like, oh, that guy's cool.
He really is a cool dude. I can't dislike him. Like I said, if I meet people and they're nice, I can't even hate them anymore. Even on TV, I'm like, I can't dislike them. They were too nice to me. Like, I can't do it. Even if they're not supposed to be that nice, but like they're not going to be complete jerks sometimes either, just because it gets like it ruins them later on too. So
yeah,
unless you're like Sasha and she just doesn't care.
MJF, he stays in that character even away from her.
Oh snap!
Actually, he's living the gimmick.
That's pretty awesome, though. I'll give him credit for that.
He walks around bodyguard because
oh man. I just need him to walk around and go up to people and just tell him he's better. He's like, I'm better than you, and I know it. Just walk around doing that to people.
Okay, and Impact. Have y'all seen the modern day? Well, when they had LAX, when it was
Hernandez.
Now, Diamante. Because I have not been impressed with her style so far, but I wasn't sure if she's.
When I saw LAX, I don't think they didn't have a female with them. That's how far back mine goes.
I mean, LAX for me, I watched it when it was like Homicide and the other and Super
and Hernandez.
Yeah, Hernandez.
It's like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I met Hernandez. That's also a cool dude.
But yeah, that match was a little slow. But she was in it too. It was fine.
All right.
Finally.
What? Hold on. I want to get your.
He's like, what are you doing?
I want to get your take on something else first before we go to that, because the last two things will be about that. But so I want to touch on this first before we go to that. So next week, Jericho. So it was announced that Jericho and Orange Cassidy will have their rematch in 2 weeks. Next week, though, we're going to get a Jericho Orange Cassidy debate, and they said there's going to be a special guest moderator. What do y'all kind of think that's going to happen there?
I have no clue. I don't even know if Orange Cassidy don't even talk. That's the thing.
Standing there with his hands in his pockets.
I mean, he's talked before, but it's like you never know what you're gonna get with him.
Just freshly squeezed. That's all you get.
Yeah, and I have no clue who the special guest is gonna be. It could be somebody in the Rock world, for all I know.
Could be.
It won't be the Rock.
No. That'd be some news.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
God, talk about really throwing people off.
One person.
I mean, he's a fan of AEW, so he lives in that area. He lives in Florida, so it could be possible. I doubt it.
I mean, he's been home right now, quarantining, as far as I'm aware. So.
Yeah.
One person I know. One person I know it won't be is Rusev. Rusev did come out and announce that he's probably done with wrestling. So
yeah,
I would not count on seeing him anytime soon.
Whoever's going to be, it's going to be a really great talker.
It's got to be.
Mm-hmm. All right, I can't think of anybody who's out there that could be that, but I'm excited to see it, and I wanted to make sure we touched on it. So the last thing on AEW was the main event, and that was Jon Moxley and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks.
Okay, that promo by Ricky Starks before the match began, like I said, that gave me like younger Rock vibes, and like the chemistry he had and the rhythm of his speech. Like he actually looked like a younger, thinner Rock with that tan he had on.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. So
yeah, the match was a little rough starting out, but ended really great.
yeah, it was a no disqualification match.
Brian Cage was a little rusty. Or I say Brian Cage was a little sloppy.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
so
he almost injured Darby Allin with that when he did.
Yep. The match was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't great, but at the end was crazy. And so Darby Allin, obviously he's his character himself, him is a skateboarder, and so underneath the ring, he had a skateboard laced in thumbtacks.
I feel like I need to watch this just for that.
Yeah, that moment is worth it just for that.
What? That is insane.
He jumped off the top rope, put the skateboard on his feet, and landed on was it Brian Cage? Ricky Stark. It was Ricky Stark's back.
And then,
Holy
then
crap.
he pinned Ricky Stark, and Ricky Stark is like twitching on the ground the whole time. And they're saying with thumbtacks part, you don't normally see the blood running, but you saw that one running.
Ooh, Jesus.
Yeah.
God.
It was.
Who agreed to this?
It was.
They're like, what if? Darby Allin's like, what if I just take my skateboard and put thumbtacks on it?
I think it was for last week when he almost gave him a concussion.
Oh, dang.
like Ricky Starks, I think came running down too fast or something like that, and like hit Darby Allin too hard and headed around. They almost had to cancel this match this week. So I'm guessing that was I'm sorry, and I think I prefer the concussion.
Yeah, I definitely would rather have the concussion.
Mm-hmm.
At least one of them you're unconscious for.
Oh.
So that
looks like
go
Rusev got banned. Which?
I didn't see that. I'll have to investigate.
What do you have to do to get banned from Twitch? That's all
There are things there are things you can do. I mean. But
someone probably screwed with them since he announced he was quitting to do that full time.
Jesus.
Got banned 4 hours ago.
Apparently, it said it only lasts for a day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's not bad then. All right, so we'll just touch on this last thing. Due to that, it looks like next week we're gonna get a Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley world title match. So that's gonna be awesome. What do y'all think?
Oh yeah, I think so too.
I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where you already announced what your match is going to be at your next pay-per-view, and then you give somebody else a chance to know that person has no chance at that point because they've already made the MJF versus Moxley match like earlier in the show. So it's like, how are you supposed to believe that Darby Allin is going to beat Jon Moxley?
Right.
That's fair. I mean, I agree with that.
It's kind of like with Raw, where Randy called out Drew McIntyre before his match against Dolph Ziggler, so you knew Dolph Ziggler, even though it was non-title, you knew Dolph Ziggler wasn't going to win at that point.
Yep.
I sadly knew he wasn't going to win anyways, because that's how they treat him all the time.
Yeah.
He's just there a lot of times just to help push other people more than anything.
Yeah.
He likes doing that stuff. He doesn't mind pushing people. That's the nice thing about it, because he's talked about that in interviews a lot, that he doesn't mind being there to help somebody else out.
But he chooses
because as long as he's been there now, so
he had his chance to leave to go to Impact. I still think that would have helped him.
To my Dolph.
Yeah, when TNA was still big.
Yeah, he did I can't remember who he did the interview with. I think it might have been Lillian Garcia on her podcast. And the time he actually had his match with he loses tickets, and he actually was to lose the match to quit, and he didn't lose. And he was like, "Well, guess I'm still here." But he was like, "I really wanted to lose. I wanted to be done." And I was like, "Jesus, that's terrible when you kind of put somebody in that position where they just don't want to be there anymore because they're not happy."
Interviews, but from the Good Brothers, they were released.
I have not. Oh God, imagine they're pretty great though.
They've been apologizing to the guys at AEW because apparently when their contract was up, they were actually due to sign with the AEW back last January 2019, and then the AEW had plans to open the show with the Good Brothers turning heel and going against the Young Bucks, turning on Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. So that was already set, and so all they needed them to do was go meet with Tony Khan and sign the paperwork. But then I guess Triple H and WWE got a hold of that, and they offered them more money, and they went ahead and re-signed with WWE with a 5-year contract that only made it like a year.
Yeah, I was about to say about a year and 3 months.
So it's been a running joke the past month and a half.
Jeez, that's pretty funny. I mean,
that is funny.
That pandemic gave them the perfect time to be like, well, I guess we actually do need to let some of these people go that we've been holding on to for whatever reason. Because good Lord, they let a lot of them go.
Yeah, and they made a profit of $45 million since the pandemic began.
Crazy.
That's with them still paying the salary of those they let go. So they.
Jesus, I mean, they're saving some money right now with Roman sitting at home.
No, I'm pretty sure he's still getting paid.
Probably. I mean, they may not be paying him the full thing. I mean, I don't think they should. He's not wrestling. He's sitting at home, so.
Oh, Chris Jericho is dying to get him to AEW. He's like the #1 talent that he wants to steal to come over. So.
Surprising.
They
Interesting.
got to keep Roman happy.
Yeah, true. That's why the only way they're getting away with it right now. But apparently he's sitting at home getting jacked too. So
Yeah, because that would be the equivalent of Hogan going to WCW and joining NWO if Roman going to AEW.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it happening, honestly.
No, I don't either.
Only because you could see the real Roman with his promos versus the scripted promos. Because I don't know if you heard him talking on his own. Like, he's a person you can get behind. Sounds like a pretty cool dude as well. Just on his like promos from like where he's been, why he decided to stay at home. Everyone was like, "Why couldn't we get that Roman?"
Right, just having like just him saying what he needs to say versus them telling him what to say.
Minus the suffering succotash.
Well, I think we're definitely past the succotash. That finishes up the this week in wrestling. So what is there anything else that y'all y'all want to touch on?
About favorite Undertaker.
The question of the day.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Last week.
We'll do that at the end. I'm talking about this just finishes up the week in wrestling, and then we'll move on to what we our kudos and stuff like that. All right. Well, so we'll go ahead and start with you, Manosk. We'll move on to the kudos segment of the week. Who do you give your kudos to?
MJF.
Yeah, you made that.
I mean, he's the most talked about wrestler this week and didn't even have a match.
Yeah, and MJF definitely. It was his promo was fire. It's talked about like nonstop for the last 2 days. So yeah, I mean I'm behind that for sure. What about you, Karma? Do you have a superstar of the week you want to give kudos to, or a segment?
Oof, that's hard. If I had to pick anything, I would definitely probably just pick like the Asuka Sasha match minus the ending. Because other than that, it was a really good match. I hate that they killed the ending with it like that, because they have they do really good, and then they're just like, let's not do a good ending, let's just do whatever with it. But overall, I would just say, just because the women, like, they push the women, they're pushing them a lot more now than even what I feel like they used to do. And I think they take advantage with like NWE over AEW, because AEW is trying with their women. So WWE is like, well, you know what, we can do more because we have more women and we have more shows. So they get like sometimes 2, potentially 3 matches a night plus promos. So they're kind of actually taking over in segments right now for the guys. So kudos on that, because I appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah. In previous episodes, I have given Bailey and Sasha. Obviously, you take your situation with Bailey, but I've given Bailey and Sasha my kudos a couple weeks because I do think that they are they're working double time compared to, say, some of the other ones, and it's not like their segments ever fall dull. They're always entertaining. They're always even if I hate it, I'm still entertained by it. So it's
right.
It's I definitely agree with that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Sasha takes over kind of at the point when she needs to, where it's like, cause she's just better on the mic than Bailey, so she kind of picks up behind her to pick up and keep it going where they need to go with it, as far as making people just dislike them that much more. So.
All right, that sounds good. My kudos or segment of the week is going to go to Jeff Hardy and Sheamus for the bar fight. I love the bar fight. I thought it was awesome. I love the I'm always a big fan of alternate character interaction, having one a character one day and be a different character. Mankind was my favorite Attitude Era character. So
okay, you know what? I'm not showing back up on this show again until you watch that Stadium Stampede match.
You can't just not show up.
Oh, watch. If you want to talk about multiple characters, you have to watch the Stadium Stampede match.
but say it was a great match. They're intertwining additional characters, and that's my kudos. My 2 kudos go to Jeff Hardy and Sheamus for that bar fight match. All right. So, any other kudos or any bring to light segments you want to mention to our viewers to see if they missed something throughout the week, if you want to mention that so they can go check it out. Do y'all have anything like that y'all want to mention to them?
I can think it.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the question of the week. Last week I posed the question, what is your favorite Undertaker moment or match? And we did not have any comments again, unfortunately, so we won't have any to read. But hopefully we got some here. Karma, I don't know if you were able to come up with one, but what about you, Manas? Do you have a favorite Undertaker moment or match?
I would say the Undertaker match. It was either the WrestleMania 20 where it was Undertaker versus Kane or the Boneyard. But I'm going to choose the Boneyard just because I think that's a good one for it to end on. It was different. It was entertaining. I did enjoy it all the way through. But the second I would say would be is under WrestleMania 20 against Kane. That was when they brought back the whole mystical power, the lightning ball, plane.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Before they had the cinematic.
Yeah. My favorite Undertaker moment is actually, it's pretty crazy that it goes back to obviously my favorite wrestler is Jeff Hardy, but my favorite Undertaker moment goes back to that is on Raw, and it was kind of Jeff's first really when he finally came into his own, and it was that ladder match between the Undertaker and Jeff Hardy, and you
Yes.
it's like that is something that will always be engraved in my mind. And granted, again, it's more Jeff Hardy, but it was because it was the Undertaker that it was so it had that magnitude, and it was really Jeff's first really big moment in the sun, and it the Undertaker, you could see how impressed he was of him, and so that's my favorite Undertaker moment in WWE.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you on that one because it's one of those things that you never forget. Because Jeff was just so beat from that, and then he still just did not stand back down from the Undertaker. But the Undertaker showed him so much respect in the ring, which is just awesome because of the kind of guy he is.
Yep.
And then other moments are personal favorites as far as seeing him at WrestleMania more than once, and I've seen him at the Royal Rumble, and there's just nothing like seeing the Undertaker's entrance in person. It's like its own thing. It's crazy. But what was it? I think last year. Was it last year at Raw where Undertaker? He wasn't at WrestleMania, but then he surprise came out with Elias when Elias was out there talking, and he just showed up. Because he said, the next person that interrupts me is a dead man, and then it just hits the gong. That was one of my personal favorite moments. Because nobody saw him. He wasn't at WrestleMania. Nobody saw him. Everybody's like, well, dang, we're not going to see The Undertaker. And then Elias is out there. As soon as he said that, and that music dinged, and I was like, oh, snap. And then, because we're in the crowd, and we all just, lost our minds because it was just amazing. So that's one of my favorite moments as far as being involved with the Undertaker. So it was pretty cool.
That's great. That's good stuff for sure. All right, I'm gonna give it up to y'all if to see
I
if
got one for next week.
Okay, yeah. All right. What you got, Manosk? What's the question?
Everyone do their homework and list from the like top 5 in order of greatness current women wrestlers.
Oh, that's good.
I can do this all day. I got you.
All right.
I am gonna save that in my notes so that way I can actually like.
I want to know who your number 1 is, who your number 2 is.
And
3, 4.
these are active, right? These are current
Yes.
active wrestlers.
Current. Yeah.
Let me note active because I would just be like throwing out my top babe forever.
In your opinion, the best of the best. I mean, in the ring, on the mic, you name it.
Okay. All right. And so the question of the week for next week is list your top 5 active women wrestlers. All right. Well, that brings us to the close of our show. If anybody has any other topics they want to discuss real fast, we're just about out of time.
No, I think I'm good.
All right.
I can talk wrestling all day, so.
All right.
Just for a while, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We will be back on Thursday night, as always, to discuss wrestling with y'all. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel at Donnie's Gamerspace. Follow us on Twitter at TheGreatestWRE1, and also follow me on Facebook at Adani's Gamerspace. Anybody have any plugs they want to do? All right. This is going to be this will be the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have an amazing week, and we'll see you back here. This is Adani signing out.